I knew I was asking for trouble doing this, but you're always asking for trouble when you don't follow the narrative of the day. And this week's narrative is that Nazis and white supremacists are bad. Racism is bad. Not a particularly startling insight. And Donald Trump is bad for not stating that unequivocally. But most of the coverage and commentary didn't go deeper than that. For many, the story was Donald Trump, but I think that misses the bigger picture. I mean, white supremacy groups and racism didn't start last week. The roots are hundreds of years old. I mean, the wounds from the Civil War are still there for many in the southern United States, and both sides, by the way. But that's not the popular narrative or one that's going to gain brownie points. I wonder if people really think that white supremacy groups or racism can be eradicated by confrontation, or will it fuel even more violent confrontations? But if you concentrated on President Trump or the white supremacists, I think you missed a significant part of the story. What about Antifa, who are the other side of the confrontation in Charlottesville, who WikiLeaks decides is a far-left militant political movement of autonomous, self-described anti-fascist groups in the U.S.? It's a group committed to using violence in the form of property damage, hand-to-hand combat, fire. They use these tactics to prevent invited speakers from giving speeches on university campuses as they did at Berkeley. But there was no mass outcry or condemnation of the violence on campus or at the G20 summit committed by these people in Hamburg, or the violent protests in the aftermath of Donald Trump's election. There was no backlash, no Hollywood celebrities denouncing it, no panels on CNN offering even mock outrage. And the result? Violent protests have become normalized. That's one of the messages we're seeing here. Like much of the mainstream media, CNN seems to have just discovered Antifa with a story entitled, "Unmasking the Leftist Antifa Movement. Activists Seek Peace Through Violence." I agree with the Wall Street Journal's Daniel Henninger, who writes, "Stories about Antifa's organized violence are trickling out now, but there's no conceivable journalistic defense for waiting so long to inform the public about this dangerous movement." We should be asking why. I mean, Charlottesville, while tragic, is incredibly unsettling, but it's part of a bigger story. Now, thanks to the computer modeling of Armstrong economics, we've unequivocally been saying on Money Talk since 2014 that we're entering a new cycle of social violence. I mean, look around. Venezuela, countless violent protests in Europe, the police killings in the U.S., including this past week, including the last couple of days. You got rioting in Ferguson, Missouri, murders in Baltimore, Maryland, and the riots that came. That's just naming a couple of examples. And, of course, violence on university campuses, and many times aimed at Jews. But can anyone really be surprised that the politics of division, practiced by so many, has resulted in a divisive society? I mean, there's no attempt in the political sphere to bridge these divides. Power is built on division. There's the enlightened versus Hillary Clinton's deplorables. There's red states versus blue states. There's violent anti-capitalists, racists, various ethnic divisions, gender divisions, divisions based on sexualities, and others on religious grounds, and plenty of politicos ready to exploit those divisions. Again, I ask, is anyone really surprised that society is divided and that confrontation is increasing, given the constant stream of us versus them rhetoric in the 24/7 world of politics? I mean, where do we think that leads? Well, I think sadly we're about to find out. As one of the main themes on Money Talks. We're now in a period, 12 to 14 years in length, that is going to usher profound changes to government and society. I'm afraid that violence and discord are going to be very predictable byproducts. I mean, as I say, what happened in Charlottesville is very unsettling. Well, it's a tragedy, obviously, especially for the personal families involved there. But it's more than that. It's way more than that, is my point.